So today we're taking a look at the Napoli with a full secondary build. And yes, we are in arms race, but that is going to give us the opportunity to push in very aggressively and use these secondaries a lot. We're going to get into some pretty bad situations, and Napoli's just kind of ridiculous how it survives some of these situations. I don't really quite get it, but the ship is ridiculously tanky, and with this build, the secondaries do so much damage. It's really insane. I think a lot of that comes down to not needing to spec into things like manual secondaries. That skill, of course, has been nerfed pretty heavily over the years, and a big part of that is that the accuracy takes some time, right? It takes time to build up accuracy on any secondary battleship, around 45 seconds, something like that, to gain that full percentage buff that manual secondaries will give you. Napoli doesn't have that, so it has fully accurate secondaries right away. Of course, the secondaries are also sap, which are pretty insane. Really good for dealing that raw damage, and considering some of the secondaries are only 90 millimeters here, sap actually allows us to pen some superstructures. Unlike the Colombo or the mainline Italian battleships, yeah, their HE on those 90 mils can't pen even superstructures at this tier. It's pretty pathetic, and that's why secondaries don't really work on the Italian battleships all that well. Where on Napoli, it's pretty good. I should also mention that it has some improved accuracy on top of that. So a fully built Ohio, a fully built Schlieffen have the same accuracy on the secondaries. And Napoli also has that same accuracy, except again, it doesn't have that lead up time, that wind up time of manual secondaries. Although they don't have the range, right? They don't quite have that insane range that Schlieffen or Ohio, things that tier 10 battleships tend to have. But that's okay. We got a fuel smoke, and you guys know how much I enjoy these smokes. The shenanigans that you can actually pull with these smokes is really ridiculous. In this game in particular, I don't think I'm going to use them terribly effectively. I push into a pretty bad position here. We'll see that in a little bit. But we're going to deal with this lion reasonably well, I would say. If I had been paying a little bit more attention, staying in this position or using my smoke here to turn away, get into a kiting position against this lion would have been much, much better. I'm going to get greedy for torps, though. So that's what I'm going to do, pushing into a crossfire, right, between this lion, and then there's a Marseille off to the left here. So not the best idea, especially with an Italian DD that's ready to YOLO around this corner. I was thinking I was going to be smart, using this, even this little iceberg here to our left to prevent anybody from shooting us from that side. And then, well, spoilers, a DD is actually going to show up. But these secondaries are going to just melt this lion. You can see how much damage they're just doing in every hit there. 700, 700 there, and then when the big guns hit, it's around 2,000. It's kind of ridiculous. Here comes that DD, though. So we're in a bit of a bad situation. And we're going to be flat broadside to not only a lion, but also the Marseille, and whatever that other battleship is there, Constellation. And somehow we're actually going to live this. So we're saving our torpedoes, using that close range against this DD. Of course, the secondaries would take them out pretty quickly as well, as you can see. But we'll guarantee it with the torps, pop our smoke, and we're dark for a few seconds. As you can see, the lion actually gets into our proxy spot range, which is a little bit unfortunate. This is why I should have been turning away earlier on. We do take a pretty massive hit. We're pretty lucky not to die there. Switching over to the AP, it's actually good enough to kill a lion at that range, fortunately. And then you can see that the Marseille just barely misses a Citadel on us as well. And somehow we live. And now we're up to 136,000 damage. Napoli is such a ridiculous ship, man. I can't believe it lives through some of these engagements. It's kind of ridiculous here. And a lot of fun. Although it can be a little frustrating if you are building for main guns or you're trying to play at longer ranges. Napoli really wants to play in that sub 10 kilometer range. Maybe not as close as I was playing this game, but I find that in that sub 10 kilometer range, it does extremely well. You can smoke fire from inside your smoke like this and have your secondaries firing. So secondaries have just over 9 kilometers of range. Your smoke fire detect, so whenever you shoot your guns within your smoke, is 8.8 kilometers somehow on these big giant guns. So you're actually able to use this smoke, get your secondaries firing, and fire your main guns all without being detected. It is a very small window though, so we're not really making use of that in this game. But hey, Already over 200 secondary hits. Yeah, pretty insane. Pretty insane. I am going to use the border here. A bit scummy of me, but I'm trying to live as long as I possibly can here. We're really stuck in a bad position here, and there's really not much going to save us this game. You can see our team is kind of melted on the other side of the map. These arms race games tend to be pretty snowbally, right? A lot of blowouts happen in arms race, in my opinion. Hopefully they'll get rid of arms race and maybe bring back airship escort. That would be pretty interesting. I would enjoy that a lot more in the random battles queue. But given how low I've been for such a long time, I'm pretty lucky to still be alive. Napoli, of course, has that insane armor protection like a Petro has, and a tiny little superstructure, so it's really, really difficult to take out. It's one of those annoying ships that just tends to live and live and live, and just really difficult to take out. But here we finally met our match. We're in too much of a crossfire again, so this Marseille is probably going to kill us, since we do have to angle to the battleship at close range here. And that's going to be our game. And we get up to nearly 250 secondary hits. Pretty ridiculous, 180k damage. And maybe even another torpedo here. That'd be kind of nice into the Constellation. But yeah, Napoli secondary build. It is fast fun. If you're willing to just push in W key, Napoli's kind of ridiculous. Especially if you put it in a div with some people. It's pretty fun. And yeah, nearly 90k secondary damage. That's pretty insane. I don't know if I've ever had it that high on the Napoli. But I don't necessarily think the full secondary build is the best build on the Napoli. Probably much better off going for a little bit of main gun reload, especially. That's pretty painfully long reload on these guns here without taking reload mod. So yeah, might be worth investing in a little bit more over these very situational secondaries. But top grade gunner, concealment, superintendent, of course, very nice. Even survivability expert, just trying to stay alive as long as I possibly can here. At least with this build. Adrenaline rush is nice. Consumables enhancements, really just trying to maximize those smokes. Gun feeder is going to be great on most cruisers, as always. And then incoming fire alert is just kind of there if I'm playing at longer ranges and not really paying attention. That was just kind of a bit of a throwaway skill. So you can put that in whatever you want to. And then there are the upgrades, full secondaries. You're probably better off going with main gun reload, honestly. And maybe even aiming systems. You still have decent secondary range. Not 9.2. Let's just see what that goes to, in fact. 8 kilometers. You can get to 8 kilometers pretty easily if you're able to get to 9.2. So that's kind of the idea. But hey, if you're going all in on secondaries, that is the build I was using. And it can work pretty well. Especially since those sap secondaries do a ton of damage. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and have a great rest of your day.